We return now to breaking news. The Supreme Court has sided with Texas Republicans on the state's redrawn congressional map. State lawmakers proposed a map earlier this year that would almost guarantee the party wins 5 additional seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. A lower court previously sidelined the effort, but Thursday's decision by the nation's highest court sets up the newly drawn map to be in place for the 2026 midterms. CBS News legal contributor and Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson joins me now. What were the legal issues at play here?
So the legal issues here were really whether or not the new Texas maps amounted to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. And there was some evidence in the legislative record that the new lines were drawn in part with race in mind. But on the other side of the balance was really, is actually this all about partisan gerrymandering, meaning trying to get more Republicans into the House of Representatives? The other legal issue for the court, Lindsay, was really, what do we do so close to the time when people have to declare whether or not they're running and in which seat? That's something called the Purcell principle. Basically, try and do no harm right before an election. So what we have here isn't a full decision on the merits. It's another one of these emergency docket decisions where the court is just saying, okay, essentially, these are the maps that will be used for the midterm elections, that Texas can, in fact, use its latest maps, those maps drawn to try and increase Republican voting power in the House.
So is the issue of merit going to be decided at any other point? And does this mean anything for other congressional maps moving forward? Because Texas isn't the only state trying to do this.
So great questions. The case could come back up to the Supreme Court for full briefing on the merits. As you know, as we've talked about, there's a big case dealing with the Voting Rights Act out of Louisiana that the court is going to decide in addition this June. That could give us some more guidance as to the contours of the Voting Rights Act. What does this mean for other states? I'm going to caution everybody, I think very, very little, in the sense that this case was really about what happened in Texas and whether or not the specifics of how the new lines were drawn amounted, again, to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. I think the issues, while it's asking the same big question on other states, can we have these lines? I think the facts are different enough that we shouldn't read too much into this at all.
And we have some other breaking news, too. We just learned a grand jury rejected the Department of Justice's attempt to re-indict New York Attorney General Letitia James. What is your reaction to that?
So my reaction is that reporting indicates the first time she was indicted that I think that there was a division in the grand jury, and we may be seeing that again here. We know that career prosecutors were reticent to bring this case. We know, in fact, that Eric Siebert, who was the predecessor of Lindsay Halligan, who ultimately did bring these cases, in part resigned and or left his position as head of the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia because he didn't want to bring this case. So obviously very early in terms of breaking news, but what we could be seeing is the grand jury had a similar view to what the career prosecutors who were looking at this case of alleged mortgage fraud thought.
Jessica Levinson, thank you so much.
Thank you.